Hi, everybody. Welcome to another session of WICOR Pops. This month, we're tackling strategies on learning how to tackle our mistakes. And so I'm going to switch on over to our screen share, and then we can get started. Yes, click out of that. Okay. So close out. Close it. Yeah. Okay. I think we are ready to go now. Sorry about that. All right. So, learning to tackle mistakes. Again, WICOR Pop for February 6, 2019. Let's get started. Hello, we're your Avid Elementary team. My name is Laura Valdez. I'm the Avid Elementary coordinator. And here in the room with us today, we also have Carolyn Lee, our Avid Elementary specialist, and Ivan Cantu, our Avid administrator. All of us are here to support you in any way that we can. So jot down our email addresses, and if you need to get need some support, need some modeling, need some PD for your campus, please be sure and reach out to us, and we'll do the best we can to get some support out to your campus. So a couple of things, a couple of quotes. Mistakes are proof that you are trying. And then the only real mistakes are the ones from which we learn nothing. So what we're going to tackle today and learn today and look at today are just different ways that we can look and learn from our mistakes, so that way we can solve our problems with the best strategies in our backpacks. In today's hangout, we are going to be looking at, through writing, some reflecting on my mistakes, reflecting on learning. Through inquiry, critically thinking about my mistakes, and then asking questions of myself and my peers. And in collaboration, strategizing with my peers, and then learning with and from my peers. And then looking at organization, how am I organizing my thoughts and new information through graphic organizers or focus notes. Your handouts today, there was a link in the description of the session for today. So we have a couple of handouts. In that link, it'll take you to a Google folder that has the presentation, as well as all of these handouts for you to be able to access and use if you want to go back and watch this training later on. Okay, so point of confusion analysis. How do we get our kids to come to the question that we all want them to get to, right? Is like, you know, this is, where did I go wrong in my problem solving? So what we'll need today is maybe a graded assignment or assessment that you have already passed back to your kids, and then a problem analysis graphic organizer, and then grouping our students with like missed problems, and maybe one student who got that problem right, because we'll use them as a guide, as a facilitator for this group. And then there's another handout that has questions for discussion. We have a couple of handouts in there. There's questions for discussion in general, looking at our mistakes, but then there's also questions for discussion for Socratic dialogue that have some content-driven questions on there. So what we want to do is kind of scaffold these questioning stems for our kids. And so, yeah, we want to supply and model for them the kinds of questions that we want them to ask when they're looking at missed problems, missed questions. But then later on, let's start getting them to generate their own questions, their own critical thinking questions in there, so that they can start reflecting on their own. Okay, so we take our point of confusion analysis. We take our questions for discussion sheet, and so there's some 4 major questions on there, and then there's some sub questions for each of those big ones. So when we're looking at the original problem at the very top, and then looking at filling in one thing I do know about my problem, some reflecting there. What do I know about my problem? And then what are some key words that I can pull out from the original problem, the original question that's being asked of me, that will help me get to solving my problem. So now moving into that big chunk, the pink, the highlighted area where it says steps I've taken so far. So when I worked out my problem, these are the things I did in order to get to the answer that I got to. Granted, my answer is wrong, but at least I can start to look and start to analyze where I went wrong in my steps. So looking at your questions, your discussion questions on the left-hand side, start looking at, okay, first thing, did I guess at my problem? Did I guess? Did I make a careless mistake? Did I stop too early when I was trying to answer this problem? Did I rush through everything? And did I mix something up? Okay, so once we get down into when we're analyzing our steps, where did I go wrong? So for instance, if I made a careless mistake, so then I'll look at those questions under there. What did I do wrong? Okay, so looking at my steps, what did I do wrong? Can I solve the problem another way to see if I can get to the same answer? And how could you use a table, graph, or equation to check your solution? Okay, so really using these general questions in order to analyze your steps that you took so far in that big chunk, in order to start to get down to that point of confusion. What am I actually confused about? Okay, so also using the content area, content-driven questions, if that's going to help you hone in on that point of confusion, then you can also use those. So for instance, we're going to have an example here in math. So if I'm looking at my math question, you know, I have Mrs. Louise will have 24 children at a birthday party. If 6 children can sit at each table, how many tables will she need? Well, the one thing I do know is there will be 24 children at the party. Keywords, how many need each table? The steps I took so far, I knew there were 24 children at the party. There were 6 children at each table. Well, I'm going to multiply that. 24 times 6 equals 144. 144. Well, that's the wrong answer. So when I go back to analyze, what did I do wrong? Did I go too fast? What did I do? So coming down to my point of confusion was, what operation do I use to find the amount of tables? Where do I need to go back and change my processing in order to get to the right answer? So my point of confusion was that question. And then from there, we can go back into starting to solve the problem the correct way. And we'll look at that in just a little bit to look at a different way to do that. So again, so this point of confusion analysis, I would group kids together like missed problems with maybe one student who can guide the questioning in order to get to the real solution, the way that we need to answer this problem. Okay, so this was the point of confusion analysis. So this is looking at finding out where kids are having that gap in learning. Where am I missing that process step or that step in, you know, finding the right operation? If it's a language arts, you know, if I'm finding main idea, is there something that I missed? Is there a detail that I missed that would have helped me to find the main idea? So before we move into our second set of strategies, don't forget to make comments if you're watching. We would like to give you, you know, professional development credit, but then also if you make a comment, don't forget that we will purchase a app for you if you go ahead and let us know that you're listening. And also if you have questions while you're watching this and while you're thinking of your kids, and if you have some questions, then ask those questions in those comment sections. We have Carolyn helping us out in that the comment section. So that way we can get the answers out. Or we can definitely look for the answers and then let you know via email or via other comments. Okay, so the second part, analyzing mistakes. Let's looking at our mistakes. So this was actually, I saw this in the classroom, so I just kind of not recreated the wheel. I kind of used that same wheel, and we're going to do a little modification of it. So what we will need today what we'll need for this next set of strategies is a piece of paper folded vertically and then folded 3 times again, where you would have 6 spaces in the front and 6 spaces in the back. So if you had 12 problems, then there's your 12 problem analysis grid right there. Okay. Now, musical chairs. So if you've gone to Summer Institute, you've played musical chairs with us in the room. You just kind of, you know, instead of taking a chair away, we're just simply playing music. When the music stops, you find a partner, and then you sit down and you work out a problem. So here's how we're going to do it, though. When the music starts, you have your kids move around the room. When the music stops, they will find a desk, a table, somebody's area that has the set of wrong assignment, the graded assignment, and then that grid right next to it. So directions before they leave your graded assignment and your grid right next to each other on your desk. When the music starts, you move around to somebody else's table, desk, and when the music stops, find a place where you can sit down and start to do the analyzing of the problems. Okay, so music starts, everybody starts moving, music stops. Okay, I found my problem. So now what you're going to do is look at all the missed questions, the missed problems on there. Pick one of those problems, and you'll find the corresponding problem on the grid. Okay, so for instance, it didn't pop up, so sorry about that. I will take care of that. So for instance, if I had that grid and number 2 was the wrong answer, then I will go to my sheet, my answer grid, and on number 2, I'm going to put my name on the top because I'm the one that's going to analyze and give the explanation. That way, later on, when it comes down to solving the problems, or if I couldn't read something, then I know I can go to that student, and that's who's going to help me read and understand what the explanation was. Okay, so they're going to actually analyze the error using discussion questions and notes, and then explain where the error occurred. Okay, so okay, now here's where we move into another strategy, okay? So for musical chairs, it's simply I move to a desk, I find a problem that has an error, I read the problem, and I look and see what that error is. So for instance, for mine, it was the wrong operation, right? So I would write on there, you used the wrong operation, okay? Or somebody would write on my paper, you used the wrong operation. Okay, now, after we've done this 4 or 5 times, we've analyzed 4 or 5 problems. Now we're going to move into actually looking at those, the analysis of the problems, and then start to work through the problems to get to the right answer using our notes, using our resources. Okay, so that's where we move into team huddle. Again, this is modified. Team huddle, you know, you have the kids move around the room. When the music stops, you call out a number, and that's how many people will get together. So here's where the modification happens. You're going to tell them, when I call the number out, you are going to get in a huddle with someone who has similar missed problem. Okay? Similar missed problem. So this is a great big management system right here. So you need to make sure that the kids are getting together with like missed problems. Okay, so they're going to have their error analysis grid, which is the 6 problems on one, 6 problems on the back. You're going to make sure that they are grouped with like problems, and then allow them to use their notebooks with notes and any other resources in order to go through the problem solving. Okay. Again, music starts, they can move around. When the music stops, get in a group of 3, and then have them find 3 people that have the same missed problem. Okay, the process is with your notes, you're going to then solve the problem using math stems, using the problem analysis handout that we have, and then a writing utensil. Okay. So there's my grid that had where my person told me you used the wrong operation. So we're going to use that to then move into, ta-da, our problem analysis. Okay, so I have my original problem, I have what I know, I have keywords, I have my math talking stems, and then I have the space where we're going to actually solve the problem correctly using our notes and our resources. Okay, so I'm with my huddle of 3. We're going to use our resources and use our notes again using, I noticed that you you used the wrong operation, so now we're going to look for the right operation. So using our talking stems to actually problem solve and get to the right answer with the right process, okay? We have gone through a couple of strategies and using a couple of different resources, using our graphic organizers and using our talking stems to now look at, learning from mistakes, tackling mistakes, and then from learning from those mistakes, how are we going back and using our peers to get to the right answer with the right process and steps. And all the while using our writing to learn strategies in the reflecting part. Okay, so asking questions of each other, using when we do, again with the management tool, with the management system of it, using the kids who got maybe the correct answers, using them as facilitators and just having them maybe be the person who asks the questions and not so much being the person that says, this is how you do it, let's get it done. We really need to start driving that thinking and start driving that inquiry and using our question stems in order to drive that thinking and get our kids to look at mistakes and learn from mistakes and then fix them so that we can get to learning content. Again, short, sweet, and a couple of strategies that you can use next week, tomorrow. Again, if you have any questions, if you have any requests, any modeling that you'd like to be done, if you want us to come do some side-by-sides, if you want us to provide some resources, please don't hesitate to email us. We'll be glad to come out and support you guys the best that we can. With that being said, don't forget to visit our website. This is some things that we have, some different resources, those math talking stems, different stems are on there. And then again, the link is in the description for the video where the handouts are. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email. Thank you again for your time this afternoon. Hope you all have a great rest of the week. Bye.